how are we doing? Excellent, excellent. Massive shout out to Louis and Naran for putting on an incredible event. You don't understand what it takes to build an event such as this. Appreciate all the AV people, the food, the staff. You guys did a phenomenal job. For those who don't know me, my name is Kyle Guthrow, and I'm going to be speaking on the journey from the 9-to-5 to the entrepreneurial world. Show of hands, how many people, and don't be embarrassed by the way, are in the corporate or 9-to-5 world? Wow, we got a very entrepreneurial bunch. Show of hands, how many people here are entrepreneurial people? Wow, okay. Let's see how this talk goes then. The reason why I picked Rise from the Ashes is because so many people talk about the success of the entrepreneurial world. Well, hate to break it to you, this talk is not about that. I found this quote very fitting. Once you know what failure feels like, determination chases success. And that's from the late Kobe Bryant. I'm a very social person. I'm an extrovert at heart. You want to punish me? Put me in my house by myself. I like to network. I like to mingle. I like to meet people. So do me all a favor. I know you have a phone. Pull it out and take a picture of that QR code before I pull it away and add me. The reason why, I want to stay connected with you. I want to hear what business you're in. I want to hear what industry you're in. I want to hear what you're up to, and I want to see what you're doing. There should be a link that pops up. Once you click on it, you'll see my beautiful face and a little bit of a story, and all my socials and everything you need is there. And if you forget, my name is just Kyle Guthrow on all socials. So, who am I? I am a real estate investor. I have properties scattered all over Southern Ontario. I have literally done everything in real estate except for land development. I left the corporate world in 2019, which I'll be sharing my story shortly. I am super obsessed with like the diversifiers and Derek and his team with fitness, nutrition, and cold exposure. If you want some fun, I have got a couple viral videos of me doing some ice swimming stuff. I've shared the stage with Grant Cardone, which was really cool. And a fun fact, I have worked over 40 red carpets for the Toronto International Film Festival, interviewing celebrities, directors, composers, you name it, I've talked to them. And for fun, I struggle at golf. After 25 years, I still can't master it. And I do love snowboarding. And I have a wonderful little Maltese Jack Russell named Marvin. So who am I? Just to get a bit of a glimpse, and as you can see, the picture behind me, that's my little guy, Marvin there. And then the fun family on the right are my crazy nieces and nephews. They've brought so much joy into my life, and I'm grateful that my younger brothers have gifted me the role of fun uncle. I've been very fortunate to get around some incredible people, some that you recognize. One that kind of really stood out for me was Elena Cardone, Grant Cardone's wife. And for those that don't maybe know Grant Cardone, don't worry, your phone's listening, and you will literally be spammed by his Instagram. But she just talked about the importance of being a powerhouse to Grant. And I think that's so fitting. Some of the brands that I've worked with, Real Estate Wealth Lab, Rain, I've done some stuff with Fit Factory Fitness, Coca-Cola, and then in the bottom right, you can see me working with the Grant Cardone licensing program. You're probably wondering, what is the listing large? Because of TIFF, someone saw my talks and asked, would you be interested in being on a TV show? I said, well, I'm not an actor. They said, don't worry, it's a reality show. So I was actually in a small little segment, a real estate show called Listing Large. My objective in the time that we have together, and there's a timer at the back, I do apologize, because I'm not going to listen to you. You can try and pull me off the stage. I'm going to keep going. Just kidding. My goal in the time we have together is to share the wisdom that I have gained as being an entrepreneur. This is the unedited, raw version. So if you get offended or easily offended by my language, I don't give a shit. Get up and you can, don't leave. So how did I get here? I actually picked this picture for Taco, because that is me in Huacachina, Peru. And I did not know that until I had a conversation with him yesterday that he is Peruvian. So this story is a bunch of ups and downs, and Let's begin. It's a picture of me climbing a tower. I worked for a great company called Hydro One. Do not hold that against me. It's not my fault your electricity bill went through the roof. I had a great salary, a pension, benefits, a job security, and vacation. I was actually a senior project manager overseeing a big portfolio. Loved the job, loved the company. However, I didn't feel fulfilled. And it did bother me that I only got 4 weeks of vacation a year. Burn the boats. And I'm going to add a word in there. Pardon my language. Burn the fucking boats. And the reason why, I'm going to tell you. I quit. 2019, August. I'll never forget it. It was like it was yesterday. I went into my boss, gave him an ultimatum. I said, and I had a good working relationship with him. I said, listen, I really need a leave of absence. He asked, why? Sickness, medical reason. I said, I just need the time off. I would not give them a reason. So it went back and forth. He eventually approved it. Took it up to the VP level, and then ultimately HR. They wanted a reason why I was quitting. So guys, I'm not providing a reason. Give me the leave of absence. You've given it to other people. I told him I'm going to travel. Ultimately, they got up to the VP, and he pulled me into his office and said, I need to know a reason. Tell me it's for insurance. Tell me that you go on a medical leave. I'm like, there's zero chance I'm going to have an insurance company chase me down because of that. And I asked him politely one last time, are you going to give me the leave? He said, no. That night, I drafted up the letter. I went back into his office the next day, and I said I quit. He was flabbergasted because people at Hydro One do not quit. It literally is the golden handcuffs of a company. I was scared shitless. I'm not going to lie. I gave him 2 weeks' notice. But I did have a game plan, and I will talk about that. But what happened shortly after August 2019? 6 months later, does anyone recall? A global pandemic. Woo, did not expect that one to come. That was not on my bingo card of things that you need to be prepared for. The good thing for me, though, is that I had built a real estate investing company since 2007. I was buying at the height of the credit crisis, was buying properties for pennies on the dollar in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. The rest is history. But here's the thing. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Fresh out of university, my dad said he wanted to diversify his portfolio. He said, let's go buy an investment property. My first response, hell no. I saw what we did to that poor landlord's house. We kicked the living shit out of it. Turned the walls into Swiss cheese, ruined the carpets. No way was I being a landlord. He said, listen, you're making good money. You're living under my roof. You either can buy an investment property with me, or you can buy your own roof. He actually didn't truly say it in that manner, but it felt like that. And I'm going to talk about how real estate can provide you with a lot of ups, but a significant amount of downs, like sleeping in my truck. And that was kind of a low point for me. Simon Sinek, I believe one of the other speakers mentioned him. Fantastic. The ego is the enemy. And I will admit, my ego got the best of me. I got some early success in real estate in the 2011 to 15. I thought I was a genius. I'll give you a quick example. I was buying townhouses, brand new, for 200 grand. At the peak of the market, they were over $1 million. So this got to my head. I climbed the corporate ladder very quickly in the company, and I thought real estate was the greatest investment ever. However, what had happened and transpired was other opportunities got presented to me. Very volatile and risky operations. I invested in them. Little did I know a few years later, they would not pan out the way I expected. A lot of entrepreneurs in the room, you understand, running your own company is a shit ton of work. It is a lot. My business partner and I in 2019, and I'm going to bring this back to the story, we started flipping real estate. And in the middle of COVID, I didn't have a backup plan. My leave of absence wasn't approved, so I quit. I didn't have that job to rely on. Personally, this is what I talked about when the lawyer question got brought up. The importance of partnership agreements. My business partner and I were lifelong friends, and we didn't have the most rock-solid partnership agreement in place. I thought I was going to be doing the acquisition and the financial raise, and he was going to look after the day-to-day and the trades. However, when the global pandemic hit, everything was closed. And next thing you know it, I'm swinging a hammer. I have no idea how it got in my hand, but I sure as hell learned a lot of cool skills. The hardest part in all of that, though, was when Home Depot closed. Because try flipping a house when you can't get material. We were burning hundreds, close to thousands of dollars a day in just interest payments. We were panicking. But for those that are in the real estate space, you understand it is an ugly game sometimes, and this was the ugliest of them all. We walked into this house in downtown Hamilton, and the first thing that we saw was a family of cockroaches. Thankfully, I've got a strong stomach, didn't even bother me. We moved the fridge and said, "Vamos, go over to the neighbor's house. You're out, you're evicted." During the pandemic, though, this flip was a lot of fun because it was a lot of my business partner and I, because we couldn't rely on trades. I'd never hung drywall before. I had never wired a panel before. I had never installed windows before. And this thing taught me some very humbling lessons. Imagine a white-collar person leaving the corporate world to enter, and this is no disrespect to the blue trades or blue collar, going into the trade world, jumping up and down in a goddamn dumpster when I was sitting there going, I was in an air-conditioned office making a really, really great salary. The one thing that I want to share with this audience, and I'm going to have a lot of lessons and golden nuggets, so pay attention, is that you need to budget and schedule accordingly. The reason why I say this is because as an ex-project manager for Hydro One, where my portfolio was over $250 million, yes, with a B, and a team of 300, money went missing. And you couldn't always find it. However, when it is your own money and your own company, you better pay attention to it. Because those dollars here and there add up. And I'm sure Denise and Stuart can attest to this. Money evaporates very quickly, especially sometimes in the trades world, where material just randomly disappears. Where did that $1,000 faucet go? Document everything. I will share this for all the entrepreneurs in the world. We want to hear your story, but unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this too, I didn't document it enough. I wish that I had more video of me going, man, this is disgusting work. I have a lot of photos, but I wish I documented more and shared it with the world. Pay for great advice. Please, pay for good lawyers. You either pay for it in the beginning or you pay for it 10 times near the end. You will get ripped off in business as an entrepreneur. Get used to it. It sucks, but it's part of business. And like I said, don't be lazy or complacent with your money. And don't expect, this is a big one, don't expect your employees, your staff, or your contractors to care as much as you. You are the owner. So when people say, oh, my employees don't care, well, of course not. They're not the owner. They're there to go to get a paycheck and go home. We have someone else mentioned the analogy of a door. I like this one. When opportunity knocks, be sure to know how to open the door. Normally people are like, kick down the door, open the door. But you need to actually know the tools to pay attention to open the door. So my opportunity knocked. And it's because of incredible people like Louis and Naran and named Richard Dolan and Ken Klinovatakis. We got the great opportunity presented in front of us to work with Grant Cardone. But the reason why I share this opportunity, this one particular with me and Grant on stage, is because backstage, I'd met Grant for the very first time. And I've shared this story, some of you have already heard it, but I'll really do a quick version of it. So I'm backstage with Grant, and I had a story in my head. 3 months prior to actually meeting him, I was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa. There's no internet service, so it's just you in the mountain. For me, I was listening to audiobooks. And one in particular was Grant's The 10X Rule. If you haven't heard it or read it, I recommend it. So I said to myself, in one of the chapters, it's called, Don't Be a Little Bitch. And as I'm climbing this mountain on very, very little sleep, no running water, no electricity. Oh, and by the way, it was 8 days long and you weren't allowed to shower because there's no running water. I kept saying in my head, I kept hearing Grant's raspy voice, don't be a little bitch, don't be a little bitch. So I said, if I ever meet him, I'm telling him this story. And lo and behold, a couple months later, I had the opportunity. I said, Grant, can I share a quick story? Shared the story, met Elena, met his kids, and he went on stage in front of thousands of real estate investors. He's like, I met someone interesting backstage. Where's Kyle? I'm like, oh shit. He's like, come up here. I did not have a speech ready, I had nothing ready, and he pulled me up on stage. He said, tell the audience your story. People had paid thousands of dollars to be on that stage. I got to do it for free. So the moral of this story is that I tell people, what is your story? But here's the other thing. Be able to articulate it and communicate it very effectively and quickly. Because these opportunities are constantly here. So if I ask you, and my goal, by the way, is to meet every single one of you. Okay? So if I ask you, tell me your story, I'm giving you the heads up. Tell me your story in 2 minutes or less. Okay? Picture like you're going on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. But again, you have to be open and willing for these new opportunities. But here's the thing. Say yes to it if it only fits your mold. The reason why I say that, because a lot of people start jumping ship into every single thing and we get the chase the shiny penny syndrome. And next thing you know it, how the hell did I get caught investing in Forex? Real story. Trust me, I lost a lot of money. But here's the thing. You have to keep moving forward. And we talk about this. Setting goals, writing them down, reminding yourself every single day. But here's the thing, and Grant taught this and explained it a lot to us. You have to keep reading them and reminding yourself when times really get tough. It's not when things are easy and motivation, your best friend's there. It's when things are really hard. Because this is when you get down on yourself as an entrepreneur. And I'll talk about the mentality of being an entrepreneur as well. Realize your problem's not unique. Everyone's got it. So ask somebody. Tell someone about it. And here's the thing, be cautious. Be cautious on who you celebrate and tell your negative side stories to. Sometimes the people with the same last name are the most critical of you. When in fact, it's sometimes the strangers that you have no clue who they are some of the nicest and kindest people. This is why when we travel, a lot of people will say, I can be myself, because there's no judgment, there's no bias, you can just be who you are. Study successful people. They've all gone through their problems. One that's been pretty popular is his name's Alex Hormozy. If you haven't heard him, you definitely will. He talks about the problems that he did when starting his new business. Now, I caution this. Don't quit your day job just yet if you are currently employed. Build a runway. Mine, for me, when I made my promise to my ex, was I would have 1 year of without a single dollar, and we could survive on the exact same lifestyle. Here's the other fun fact. Do you know the average person has 119 days off in a year? That's over 1/3. So you can still have a business, work for a company, and still work on a side hustle. Pay attention to that, because a lot of people don't recognize that. Make sure you tell your loved ones why you're doing this. And I think because if you get buy-in from them, it definitely makes the process a lot easier. See if a company will pay for your master's, like they did for me. And you'll be surprised at how much you can learn from your current company, but it's not until you leave it that you realize all those skills came with you. For me, it was a project management world. I was like, whoa, I've heard this problem before. Instead of it being in utility, it's now in plumbing. Word of caution for those that are employed, don't use company assets while you're building your business. They actually can take the rights of that. And if you are posting on social media, be cognizant of what time you're posting. If you're posting at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, well, you're not doing work. But also, don't live in fear, but be respectful to your employer. You have to be mentally prepared. Being your own business owners, and a lot of you can attest, It is exhausting, physically and mentally. For me personally, I suffered a lot in the earlier years. And results take a long time. Please, please be patient. One thing I am kind of happy with is that the grind mentality is slowly quieted. We don't hear it anymore like it used to be a bragging right or a rite of passage. You know what? I only sleep 4 hours a night. And you know what? I'm so glad entrepreneurs have been putting their health and fitness ahead. When the proverbial walls come crashing down, mine crashed in 2020. I was in a very, very dark place. The pandemic was kicking the living shit out of me and my business. My marriage was falling apart, which ultimately did. And I was getting a little bit concerned with my alcohol consumption. I stopped working out. And a big thing, because I was constantly on the road with real estate, I was eating terribly, which then in turn led to being in terrible moods. Fast forward in 2021, I said enough's enough. I was not going to use the closure of gyms and COVID as an excuse anymore to get my health back in top shape. So I made this stupid New Year's resolution. And I'm not a New Year's person, and no knock to people that are. I said, you know what? I'm going to work out every single day in 2021. No damn excuses. Whether the gym's open or not. You can go for a run. You can I bought some equipment off Amazon. But here's the thing. I didn't tell anybody. You know why? I was scared of judgment. I was scared of failing. And I actually just had this conversation at lunch. See, we don't actually fear failure. We fear failure in front of others. If I told you that you could you could fail and nobody would know, I guarantee every single one of you would take a chance on it. But it's that judgment of others that we're terrified of. And you know where that ultimately stems from? The ego. So I made my health my number one priority. Nathan mentioned this. Yes, my streak is still going. 1,001, thank you. 1,115 days later. And to answer the doubters in the room, my minimum workout is 45 minutes, and it has to be high intensity. So this morning I woke my ass up early because I knew I was going to have a long, long day, and I worked out. Again, I don't say that to impress, but rather impress upon you that hanging out in this community, we are going to lift you up. Derek and the Diversifiers are living proof of that. They're doing workout every day in 365. And if anyone says that you can't, say, thank you. One of the other speakers mentioned this. It's so right. Say thank you. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've seen too many people put their business ahead of their health. How to overcome adversity. That's me staring at Mount Kilimanjaro. Avoid dwelling on the past. You can't change it. You can't fix it. I love this one. Break it down to its simplest form. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs we catastrophize things, but then when we actually converse about it or have a dialogue with somebody else, we realize, oh, it's actually not that bad or that big of a deal. Or a few years pass, we realize looking back going, wow, remember how stressed I was over that small, minute problem? We build up a Rolodex of these problems so that when they come up the next time, we're ready and prepared. Be kind to yourself. I'm guilty of this. I kick the shit out of myself mentally. I'm always reminding myself that sometimes I'm not good enough. So I have to have that dialogue, inner dialogue with myself to just remind myself it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to screw up. And if you really want some big cheerleaders in your life, hang around Nicole and Natasha. They're always boosting me up. I love them. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. That was from Buddha. The reason why I share these two images is because in the entrepreneurial journey, we all think we know where we want to go. However, you don't know where that next opportunity lies, that next connection, that next conversation. Gary Vaynerchuk, when I met and had a conversation with him, I said, Gary, how'd you make the transition from wine? He worked in his parents' liquor store. He owns one of the biggest media companies in the world now. Complete different spectrum. Same thing with Grant. He started in car sales. He owns now $5 billion worth of real estate. So what I tell a lot of entrepreneurs is, you know what? Let your path go in multiple directions if you need to. It's okay. Speaking was one of them for me. It took me down a completely different road. I was doing Toastmasters in 2017, 18, 19. And I say this with good intent, and it's not coming in boastful or bragful, but because of that community and that world, and you're going to keep hearing the word community with me, is because of that Toastmasters community, I actually went into a competition, and the competition was called Table Topics. Table Topics works when you are actually given the topic of your speech as you're being introduced up to stage. So, the way the contest works, you have between 3 and 4 minutes. The instructor or the person that is coming up says, Kyle Guthrow, your topic is molecular biology. Kyle Guthrow. And by the time they say your name, you have 10 to 15 seconds to gather your thoughts and deliver a speech. It is one of the most freeing, fulfilling, and scary type of topics. You can't prepare. You have to really, really think quickly on your feet. In that competition, it went 7 layers deep, and I actually ended up becoming 3rd place in the entire province. Thank you. Thank you. Now, again, I don't say that to brag, but rather to explain that this communication skill is so critically important. You need to be able to be quick on your feet as an entrepreneur. So when someone asks, what do you do? Don't come out with the random, boring, I'm a real estate agent. Or if the dialogue goes in a different direction, you need to be fast on your feet. The reason why I share this is because I loved this skill when I got asked to be on the red carpet for the Toronto International Film Festival. Actors, they're a fun bunch. They got a little bit of a thing called an ego, and it's always about them, which is true. I'm there interviewing them. But when you're on the red carpet, think of hundreds, 25, 30 networks vying for their attention. They want Minnie Driver. They want Kate Beckinsale. I have to fight them, and I have to make my question unique that they actually want to stop and talk to me. So while you're having this dialogue, you can study the film all you want, but if they start rambling about something different, you need to be thinking in your head on where you could pull this conversation, while also looking for the talent that's still coming down the row. Because there's times where I was interviewing directors and composers, and not that they're not important, but if I see Eddie Redmayne coming, my eyes are like looking down here. Because if you are talking to someone, they'll walk past you. So it's learning how to end a dialogue quickly without it being abrupt. It's learning when you have to stop talking and let the other person speak in a conversation. Show of hands, how many people we know in the room where they just keep going on and on and on and on and never pause for a break. And as soon as you think they're going to pause, they're like, and so I da-da. Don't be that person. Have that mental clarity to realize, hey, let the other people speak. But also be okay with stumbling and tripping on your words. I'll never forget it. Real quick story. These requests for red carpets typically come the day of. So you're studying the films while they're coming down the press line. There was one time I accidentally was interviewing an actor, and I completely referenced the wrong movie. They're like, did you even see the movie? I'm like, yeah, it's so-and-so. They're like, that's not the name of this movie. I'm like, shit. We got a good chuckle, and the production company actually thought it was pretty hilarious. So why is it important to master the #1 fear in the world, public speaking? Because it's so critical to business. It's so critical to being an entrepreneur. You could have the best product or service on the planet, but if you cannot sell it yourself or speak to it, it's dead in the water. And I've had some great fortune of working with some tech companies where the founders want to be the face of the company, which is cool. However, they go on stage and now they're speaking about algorithms, data, analysis, and you're speaking to a room full of joint ventures and angel investors. Wrong room. What we do want to hear, though, is the story behind how it was developed. Everyone loves that garage story, that parent's basement of how Steve Jobs built for Apple and built it to where it is. So think of your story. But ultimately, what is the problem that you can solve for somebody else? See, as an entrepreneur, you have a service that you need to provide a solution to their problem. So the previous speaker, I apologize, I forget her name, but you need to get in fitness. She has a solution to your problem if you want to lose weight. Here's the thing, though. Stories will always sell better than facts. I could come up here and rhyme off cliche statements, numbers, data. It's not going to land. You're going to get that glazed over look on your eyes, deer in the headlight, and you're going to wash over you. However, hopefully, my stories will resonate and you will remember them. Just remember, your story could completely change another person's life. They could inspire a group of people. You could actually start a new movement in the business world or even in the philanthropic world, whichever industry you're in. You could actually help someone in need. I learned this when I was sharing my story of my breakdown in my marriage, and a friend that was going through it asked for advice. Think about that. I'm sharing advice on something I failed at, but he was going through it as well. And sometimes it can lift you out of your rut by just telling your story. Because it reminds you of you're still here, you're still kicking, you're still going. So this is why a pitch is so important when selling yourself. It's critical. It allows you to convey your message, engage in your audience, and influence decisions, making it an essential skill in many aspects of life and business. So why is it so important? Well, first look. First impressions. A pitch is often given you one opportunity. Make it count. How are you having a dialogue with that person? How are you dressed? Now, I'm not saying that we're getting judged by what we look at it, but unfortunately, humans are judgmental. So get over it. Watch your body language. If I was, as a communication expert, I will say this is very important. There's a lot of mixed messages happening in your posture, in your facial expressions, in your arm movements. Even some of you are slouching right now. That affects your diaphragm, which in turn affects your breathing, which then affects your brain and your resting heart rate. Just pay attention to all those things. And as a speaker, remember, your audience mirrors you. If you look at your watch, people will look at their watch. If you touch your hair, people will touch their hair. Humans are mirrors. Like I said, storytelling, it's so critically important. And if you're in an industry or a business that is tough to storytell, like biomedical engineering, use an anecdote that can resonate and connect with your audience. If I know you love sports, I'm going to somehow find biomedical engineering and mix it in with the Chicago Bears of the NFL. Whatever. Just using that as an example. Important. Keep it positive. People do not like negative Nancys. And I apologize if your name's Nancy. People love talking about positive things. So when in doubt, I like to say, refer to travel. For the most part, 99 times out of 100, traveling brings up a good positive emotion. If I was to start talking about Cancun, being on the beach, sipping some Mai Tais, maybe a margarita, it's 30 degrees, I instantly just painted an image right in your head. So whoever wants to go to the beach next week, let me know. We can all go. What's going to make you stand out? What's going to make you different? This is why you need your story to kind of stand out. Talk about that vulnerability. The only person that is scared to talk about it is you. But when in fact, most people do want to hear about that hardship or that difficult time that you went through being an entrepreneur. Guys, there was times where I was like, where is the next dollar coming from? It's scary. And like I said, you're more than what your role is. I love this question. So what do you do? And people say, oh, I'm a real estate agent. No, you're not. And then I break it down to its simple, again, keep breaking it down. How many deals have you done? 200. How much real estate would you say that you've transacted in? Oh, I'm not sure. Have these facts and figures. You know where I learned this from? Grant. He was great to brag. And in a good way. So when I tell people, hey, are you a top performing real estate agent? Yeah. Why the hell didn't you tell me that? Because Canadians are sometimes very cheap and chicken with what they give out. Whereas Americans, and I got to learn from the best of the best in South Florida, they're very boastful and brag. However, I think it's a good culmination of pulling them together. Because we all have gifts in this room, you need to express that. You need to share that with your audience. Because if you don't, guess what? I'm skipping over you and going to the next person. And sales, unfortunately, is a hard world. You need to sometimes be aggressive and close people. Keep your energy up, please. We've all had long days. The kids aren't letting you sleep. I don't give a shit. And I know that comes off as empathetic, but it's true. Your audience doesn't deserve that. If I told you I had 4 hours of sleep last night because I had to wake up early and go to the gym, and I was, you know what, guys, so welcome to my talk. That's not fair. You paid a lot of money to come to this event. I have to deliver that energy as a speaker. So always be cognizant of that. Check in with yourself. If you find yourself swaying, maybe you are tired, you can talk yourself out of anything. You can get yourself mentally prepared. Because guess what? Energy is contagious. And if you have an upbeat and positive energy, usually that dialogue with the next person could be positive and upbeat. You could make someone else's day. You don't believe me? Walk down the street today, tomorrow, do one simple thing with no recognition and no appreciation afterwards. Go up to someone and compliment them. Hey, I really love your sweater. Walk away. You just made that person's day. That took nothing, 5 seconds, and it's free. Like I said, don't be chicken. Please, even if sometimes you're not, I don't believe in fake it till you make it, but even if you're not, please do not be cheap on your content. Tell me how successful you are. As soon as it starts feeling a little bit uncomfortable that I'm bragging, good, it's supposed to be. Because as Canadians, we sometimes are very tame and we hold back. So if yes, where's Derek? Is he still here? No, he left. Of course he stepped out. I was going to put him on the spot, but he's not here. So coming full circle, my journey has been filled with a lot of incredible moments and hardships. I'm super, super glad that VP said we can't give you that leave of absence. It's funny enough, I actually saw them over the Christmas holidays. A lot of my old ex-colleagues, we went on a couple of drinks at a restaurant, and I saw the VP. I shook his hand. I go, Andrew, honestly, that was the best thing you ever did for me. And he didn't know what I was talking about. I go, you not accepting my leave of absence, because I know with 1,000,000% certainty, the second the pandemic hit, I'm telling you I would have ran back to that job because it was there. But my boats were burnt. Remind yourself how badly you wanted what you now have. We're so quick to forget that like 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, I just wish I could make that next deal happen. And then you do, but now you're chasing the next proverbial carrot down the road. So sometimes step back and celebrate those successes. That's a huge one. That was one that I struggled with. I just kept accumulating real estate, and then I was never celebrating them. Again, share your story. Be open and receptive to change. So critically important. In conclusion, your journey is not going to go to plan. This is why I want to stay connected with all of you through the social world, is because I guarantee maybe 5 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now, I'm sure majority of you will be doing something completely different that you're already in. And some of you are sitting there going, this guy's lying right through his teeth. But look back 10, 15 years ago. Were you doing what you're doing today? Probably not. You're different. You're doing something different. You're exploring something different. Things will go astray. They won't work out for you the way you anticipated. Again, if I can leave you with anything, please document this. We do want to hear your story. And shit, you never know. You could turn it into a best-selling book. So you might as well document it. Put yourself first. Please, your health needs to come first before your business. Find a way to integrate them. I promise you, your business will actually start to improve and explode if you can take your health to its top level. Take calculated risks. I know it's so cliche, but you literally only have one life. No, I'm not going to go there. Actually, no, I will, because it's very important. It's coming up to a year. Shit. Oh, fuck. No, okay. I'm okay. My cousin, who is literally like my best friend, summer of last year, 2022, he got word that he had some pain in his stomach. And he was a UFC MMA fighter. So we always just thought it was like a torn muscle or torn stomach or something. Finally went to a doctor. He's like, he thought it was in his appendix. So my cousin Jesse is his name. We were supposed to go snowboarding in Whistler in February of 2022. He literally called me the day before saying, hey man, I'm really sorry. I can't go. I'm like, come on, man. You're pulling my leg. Don't bullshit. He's like, man, I think my appendix is going to burst. So I ended up going to Whistler by myself, had a great time. But a diagnosis came out a few months later that it was actually cancer. And he's a strong-willed individual. His partner was pregnant. And he got word in the summer of 2022 that he had beat his cancer. He was cancer-free. Only to find out the next day that the doctor made a mistake. And he actually said, sorry, you have stage 4 cancer. Obviously, he couldn't get the necessary help that he needed in Canada, so he sought treatment elsewhere. In Europe, and he sought treatment in Tijuana, Mexico. Holistic approach. And I'll never forget it. And I know I'm over time, but I think this story is important. Because I was in Las Vegas for a conference, and something was pulling on me. He's in Tijuana. I hadn't heard from him. We talked daily. And I'm like, I knew something was wrong. So I messaged my parents. I'm like, hey, have you heard from Aunt Michelle? No. I'm like, listen, I'm going to leave Las Vegas early. I'm going to book a flight to San Diego, and I'm going to go over the border to Tijuana. My parents are like, there's no chance you're going. No disrespect to anyone in Mexico. Mexico, I do not mean. You're not going to Tijuana by yourself. It's the second most dangerous city in the world right now. I didn't care. My cousin was over there. He needed me. So my dad ended up booking a flight, saying, I'll come meet you. My flight from Las Vegas to San Diego is 1 hour. Don't fly with Flair Airlines. No, that's Flair. Spirit or Sprint or whatever the hell the yellow and black one is. Spirit. They were 4.5 hours late for a 1 hour flight. I could have drove there faster. My dad's bugging the hell out of me, and he normally isn't like this. He's like, where are you? I'm like, oh, man, I'm coming. It's okay. Like, Jesse's fine. So I finally get to Tijuana. We get over the border. My dad pulls me aside. He's like, Kyle, it's not good. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I just was talking to him a couple days ago. He's like, listen, I need to mentally prepare you. It's not good. I showed up, and he was on his deathbed. And to see that with your cousin, who's only 6 months older than you, literally just had a baby 4 months earlier, to see him passing away, it broke me. Because he was so strong-willed. And I'm sure like most cancer people that have obviously suffered from death, he ended up passing an hour and a half later. I was so grateful that I listened to my intuition. So as an entrepreneur, I share this story because you have this intuitive power in your stomach. Please, please listen to it. It will guide you better than your analytical brain will. And I'm so glad that I left, and people in Las Vegas are like, where the hell are you going? I'm so glad I left because I actually got to be there beside my cousin on his deathbed. And the reason why I'm glad that I shared that story is because as entrepreneurs, we all have a legacy to leave behind What is the legacy that you want to leave behind for your kids, for your friends, for your family? And I think it's so critically important. And the reason why I'm actually very grateful that I fought through the tears to share this story is because now my cousin's legacy gets to live on through my talk. So whatever it is as you go on this entrepreneurial journey, please know and trust that your story could change the world for somebody else. It could be even someone else's story that could impact another person's life. So on this entrepreneurial journey, to make this a little bit more lighthearted and positive, I believe in you. I really love you all. Thank you so much for Lewis for putting this on. And I think this is so apropos and totally not what I was intending to do, going into a sales pitch after doing that heartfelt story. But I'm going to leave this up here for a couple seconds. Basically, I do offer coaching in the communication and sales world and in the real estate investing world. Like I said, I'm an ex-project manager, so I know how to build businesses from start to finish, from plan to execution, to close out, to lessons learned. And if you are interested in this, I am offering it. This price is normally what I do not offer. However, for 6 weeks, I am extra 2 weeks if you sign up this weekend. And I promise you, from every being in my soul, that I will double, if not triple, that investment in your business. So with final, I know I am over. However, I did want to see if anybody, brave soul, had a question that they wanted to ask or a comment that they wanted to share. It's a very quiet bunch. Oh, yes.
No question, but that was beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. With that, honestly, please click on the QR code. I do want to stay connected with every single one of you in here. I want to watch your journey, and I want to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm very active on social media. I will be in your DMs. I will be in your inbox cheering you on. And I can be that ear to just listen. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we want to rant with nothing in return. No, you're telling me to move out of the way. There we go. I'll just go like this. Please, let's stay connected. Let's continue to grow this community. Like I said last night, collaboration over competition. There's plenty of us in the entrepreneurial world to share, to grow, to learn from. Oh, wait.
One question.
Yes.
Why burn all boats or burn our boats versus burn the bridges? I've never heard that.
So the burn the boats analogy, maybe I should have explained it better. In 1915 or 1519, there was a great general, and the story quickly is that he basically took an army onto an island, and they were going to fight the enemy. And he said, "Gentlemen, burn all of our boats. The only way we are getting off this island is if we defeat the enemy and take theirs." That's what I meant by burn the boat. So thank you for clarifying that. I should have explained that better. Honestly, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is a passion I love to deliver. So thank you for allowing me. And Lewis, thank you for giving me this platform to speak. I appreciate and love you all. Thank you.